This is the Samsung Galaxy S2 i9100 speaker, mic, and vibrator replacement video. And this has got a pretty low level of difficulty, not too tough to get this thing apart and put it back together, as long as you watch out for a couple of things, which I will point out on the way. And this will be consistent with most Galaxy S2s, and actually for pretty much the international version, which is what I'm working with, and the domestic ones here in the US have a very similar design. And we will start by removing the battery panel from the back of the phone, and of course remove your battery. And if you happen to have a SIM card or micro SD, make sure you go ahead and remove those as well. And then we're going to have a total of 7 screws on the back of the phone that we'll be removing. So I'll go ahead and magnetize before we get started, just to make things a little bit easier. These screws are they get kind of hung up sometimes, so they will tend to want to stay in the panel. But that's not a problem as long as you don't misplace them, of course. Once we have all of the screws removed, we can go ahead and start prying just very gently and using a very shallow pry around the perimeter of the phone here, between the frame and the plastic. And of course, as always, be careful around your buttons, home button, volume buttons. You don't want to go too deep and sever anything on the inside of the phone, so just go about an 1/8 or a 1/16 of an inch or so inside here very carefully. And if anything falls off, obviously you want to take note as to where they are located so you can get it back together. But again, this is not a very complex phone. Pretty simple design. You can see my volume buttons are kind of falling off there. And this is our replacement unit. The one that's in the phone actually has a severed cable going from the main speaker to the flex assembly, so you'll see in a while when I take this out. I was not the one that broke this. It was already in that condition when it came in. I'm not sure why it broke in the first place. If no one else has disassembled the phone, I'd have to assume that it was due to probably exposure to extreme temperature, but you'll see here it'll come off in a minute. And be sure that if you're trying to keep any of this intact, that you take note of the fact that Samsung likes to put a lot of glue underneath their speakers. So I would hit it with a little bit of heat, and then of course we can just kind of pry the earpiece speaker out here a little bit at a time, and then you'll find that the main speaker is the one that has just a ton of adhesive underneath it. So again, if you're trying to preserve these parts, be very careful as you're prying them. Otherwise, not too much to worry about, as we're going to be replacing the whole assembly. And you can see that the majority of the flex came out, but actually left the main speaker behind. Again, I did not rip that cable. It was already ripped for some reason, and that's what the customer brought the phone in for. She wasn't hearing anything ring, and the speakerphone wasn't working. And that's pretty much the majority of it there. You've got a flex cable that you probably noticed I had to disconnect before we pulled it out. And we'll go ahead and get underneath this very carefully and go ahead and pry out the main speaker. Take our replacement unit and go ahead and set it back inside. Plug the connector in, put the back of the phone on, and you're all finished. Hopefully you guys found this video helpful. If you have any questions, please post them in the comment section. And if you want to have more information about learning how to repair cell phones, go to gomdwireless.com and click on the training tab. If you found this helpful, please hit the like button. And if you'd like to learn more about cell phone repair, you can visit gomdwireless.com and click on the training tab.